The fate of the Huguenots. The Huguenots were Protestants in France during the 16th and 17th century, between 1598 and 1685. There was this person, Cardinal Richelieu, who was Catholic and strictly against them. He thought that France was very important and was willing to tolerate them as long as they were loyal to the country. He became Louis VIII's chief minister in 1624, who was the King of France. He ruled between 1610 and 1642. The establishment of the Huguenots happened around 1624. They had 8 circles and a commander-in-chief with an army. They had created provincial assemblies and a general assembly, which was considered almost a republic within the monarchy. Because of the 30 Years' War in which France participated, they spread out. Richelieu's views on France. He thought that the idea of a republic within the monarchy was a huge political problem. The Huguenots saw him as a great concern. Richelieu worked on the logic that France needed international respect in Europe. He wanted France to be respected abroad and an attractive ally which could bring in much more needed funds via military alliances. Any French involvement in European affairs might have given the Huguenots the freedom to expand in southern France. For Richelieu wishes to succeed, the France needed internal stability and security. The Huguenots did not like the idea and therefore wanted to attack the monarchy. In 1625, the islands Ré and Tolleron were seized by the Huguenots. They defended the sea entrance of La Rochelle and thus aided what was considered to be Huguenots' capital. Richelieu sent an army, but in February 1626 he signed the Treaty of La Rochelle. He was scared of England as it was a Protestant kingdom which might help the Huguenots. The truce gave time to them so that in 1627 they were ready to attack again. They attacked with the support from England, which was in good shape because they didn't participate in the 30 Years' War. The people of England supported the idea as France was seen as an enemy. The situation made Richelieu take action against the English and isolated La Rochelle to starve the people out. People couldn't escape the island and starved to death. On the 1st of November 1628, the Cardinal let Louis VIII go on the island and defeat the people. The population went down from 25,000 to only 5,000 people. In June 1629, the Grace of Allies was signed. It reaffirmed the Edict of Nantes. The Huguenots had no political rights and only Roman Catholicism was accepted. It was restored on the places where it was before. There was no money for education and support for the Protestant clergy. It was seen as generous because people weren't murdered for treason. Louis XIV thought that the king should control the Catholic Church and the Church should do his bidding. He clashed with several popes because of his views and could not be held back by them, as he was one of Europe's most powerful monarchs. To him, what was good for him was good for France. France had experienced a religious turmoil as the French wars had torn France apart and threatened the monarchy as an institution. Louis found the Roman Catholic Church the best way to have control over people, and religious uniformity was enforced. In the second part of his reign, the Jesuits influenced him. Unorthodoxy was seen as divisive and a potential source of rebellion. Louis ignored the noblesse de blood and appointed men from the noblesse de robe. They backed him up in the General Assembly of the clergy as they relied on him for their position. The church helped him financially and against the Pope in Rome regarding the question who should control the church between the Pope and the king. There was a conflict about who should control the land of France, controlled after the Concordat of Bologna in 1516, as Bologna's terms did not count for this territory. The 59 diocese gained Louis' patronage, bringing finances and allowing him to extend his power. Louis ordered the persecution of the Jansenists as they believed in predestination, meaning that they were Calvinists. Their convents were the Port Royal and the Port Royal des Champs. In 1661, Louis declared the 5 fundamental beliefs of the Janatists as heretical. In 1664, the chief nuns in the convents were arrested and the convent were turned into a military guard. In 1710, Louis ordered the destruction of the Port Royal des Champs, and in 1713, he asked the Pope to introduce the papal bull condemning the Jansenist beliefs. Louis persecuted a mystical movement originating from Spain and Italy, which was led by Madame de Gaillon in France. It emphasized on a total love of God and labeled ceremonies and religious works as unneeded. It could exist independently of the Catholic Church, and Louis was against it. In 1699, Madame de Gaillon was arrested and imprisoned. Louis made the Pope condemn it as erroneous. The Huguenots were around 2 million when Louis became king in 1643. As they are numerous, they were a threat. They were a loyal, industrious group that helped modernizing the French economy and benefited the country in this period of time. but Louis still persecuted them as the Assembly of Clergy and the Madame de Maintenon wanted him to. Louis wanted to bring the Huguenots back to the Catholic Church. The Edict of Nantes was strictly enforced, unlike the past decades, and decrees were issued so Huguenots could not find a job easily. Those who converted to Catholicism were paid money with the idea of others doing the same thing. In October 1685, the Edict of Nantes was revoked and the Edict of Fontainebleau was introduced. Protestantism was made illegal and 200,000 Huguenots left the country, hurting its economy. European governments were angry at Louis, as what he did with the Huguenots showed that he was a tyrant and a potential danger to Europe. Ironically, the policy that was supposed to stabilize France brought instability to Europe and made European powers side against Louis.